Today we're going to talk about protective styles for damaged hair. If you have damaged hair, should you really be wearing a protective style? Because to be honest, the majority of the protective styles that you guys wear are more so put in the place of a neglective style. While braids are often praised as a go-to protective style, the truth is they can do way more harm than good. The tight braiding, the long-term tension, improper maintenance is going to lead to breakage, thinning around the edges, perimeter, and more often than not, traction alopecia. What's marketed to you as a protective style is actually in the category of what we like to call neglective styles, where you can put your hair in this style and then you just sit it and you don't have to think about your hair at all.
I am back. What it do, baby?
6-month hair growth challenge. My braids are stuck together at the roots. Can you imagine? And then in the front, I noticed my hair locking up. Please let me know, do you think my hair is locking up, or maybe it's just lint, a little bit of product buildup, nothing to stress about? I don't know. Let me know. I'm nervous now. I'm nervous for the first time. I'm scared.
Well, this mentality is what is leading to so many different scalp and hair follicle disorders. And did you know that just like your skin can get stretch marks, so can your scalp? Let's unpack it. When I look at my algorithm and when I look within my creators app just to see what you guys are searching for the most, it's all the same thing. Hair growth oil, smoothing treatment, how to use leave-in conditioner for curly hair, getting my hair professionally done, Olaplex treatment for 4C hair, rosemary oil for hair growth, and protective styles for damaged hair. And the list goes on. As you can see, everything is kind of in the same genre, because over time, instead of us doing the styles that most of us were used to seeing our moms and our grandmothers have, we all decided to just go down the protective style route, not understanding that protective styles are only meant to be there for a second. But if we really be real, like, I'm not looking at my journal or nothing, we just having a conversation. If we're really real and we're really having an open conversation, if we put everyone in categories, and it's something that I really can't help but do because I am a research scientist, so naturally I put people in different test groups, and I know all of the different variables so I can come to a conclusion, right? So if we do that together right now and we determine what group of women, we ain't gonna talk about race, but if we determine what group of women swears by protective styles, this is also the same group of women that use oils, butters, greases, and all of the things, right? So when we are talking about a protective style, we have to think about what makes something a protective style. What would make it protective in the first place? So the key is in figuring out what the best hairstyle is and then just searching YouTube, because to be honest, that is how everybody's getting into this situation. Stick around, don't leave yet. I'm gonna give you some pointers and some tips that you can use before you leave, but hear me out. Okay, when we sit here and think about it, all of the people who have been giving you all of these different hairstyles for you to try over the years are also the same group of women who are doing big chops. They're the same women who are having certain scalp and follicle disorders, and they're the same people who are booking with a couple of my partners, right? And these are the things that I need you guys to understand, because everything works until it doesn't. We don't need, when it comes to our hair and retaining length, because the whole idea of having a protective style, right, is protecting your hair so you can retain length, right? But the truth of the matter is, when you look at, don't get mad at me, because I'm a black woman too. When you look at black women and our normal patterns on what we call protective styles, Every single thing that I talk about here on my channel, most people get in their feelings about, because culturally all of our practices slow down our hair growth cycle, and the tension that we get from the styles end up making it harder for us to retain length because we're breaking our hair off automatically. I don't think you guys even think about the fact that if there's enough tension on the braid for your scalp to hurt, just think about the amount of tension that your actual hair strand has. So the first thing you want to do when we talk about protective styles is go to certain braids and things of that nature, where the truth of the matter is that is not what you need to do. First, we need to figure out, what does the hair actually need? We just say protective styles and all you're thinking is like, okay, putting my hair up. But is that what your hair really needs, to be hidden up under something? Let's talk about it. To prevent balding, especially things like traction alopecia, you want to make sure that your protective styles are not neglectful with having some of these properties. Number one, tight styles. You want to avoid tight ponytails, tight braids, any style that feels tight. If you have to pop a Tylenol to get your hair braided, you need to find another braider. If your head hurts, or if it feels too tight, it is. Most of us are like, oh, what signals do I look for? Like, you're looking for your body to say something to you. No, your body sends you signals and it tells you things through pain, through burning, through redness, through itching. But when you get those signals from your body, you say, what type of oil should I put on it? No, you don't want to quiet the signal. You don't want to put your hand over your scalp and follicles mouth. You want to listen and move accordingly, right? So that's number one. No tight styles, tight braids. So we have to think about it. And we are talking about protective styles, right? How many of your protective styles actually have no to little tension? I'll wait. Now, even though I cannot stand baby hair and the way y'all be swooping it to y'all forehead, if you're going to wear braids and stuff like that, I kind of like, I don't really want you to have them baby hair swoops. It look special to me. But I mean, I guess that's kind of okay, but no, it's not, because then y'all be doing stuff like this. All I'm trying to say is, maybe when your baby hair is out like that, you're not braiding your edges up and putting tension on them. But then I don't want to say that, because then y'all gonna think that I'm okay with the moving along. Number two is going to be the use of soft materials, right? So most of you know this, but you want to use like satin or silk scrunchies and never like tight elastic bands. I know you know about like rubber bands and all of the things, and a lot of people like to argue about them. Feel however you want to feel. If we're talking about things that cause the least amount of tension, reducing rubber bands and the use of products that have elastic in it are going to be great. If you cannot, right, just wake up and be like, oh, I look like this, like I don't, you can wrap your hair in a silk or satin scrunchie or bonnet. I'll add on the screen the type of bonnets that I end up using. Is not like the normal elastic bonnet. I don't do those. It's like silk on the inside, and when I put it on, I wrap my hair and I put it on, spin my hair in a circle, right, so it can wrap, and then boom shikala boom, I unwrap my hair, all falls out, and then we here. 3 is going to be giving your hair a break. Now this is where most of us run into our issues with length retention and all of the things, because even if you grow a whole lot of hair, right, what most women find is shortly after their hair grows, after their amazing protective styles, they end up doing a big chop. Why? Because it's so easy to damage your hair. Nothing on your body should be wrapped up and cut off from its normal oxygen flow 24/7. If you do a protective style, it is literally just that. Maybe if you go out of town or you're going on a cruise or something like that, and you know you're not going to be able to do your hair properly, you'll just go ahead and do it and in a protective style. And it is not that these braids are protecting your hair. What's happening is you're putting your hair up so that way you are protected from any form of mechanical damage that you have. But if we're being really real and really realistic, if you have braids in for a long amount of time and they end up looking like this, is your hairstyle protective or neglective? Is your hairstyle a protective style or a neglective style? So this is why most protective styles drive me crazy, because most women on the planet are shampooing their hair at least every 3 days. By you getting a protective style, most women with curly hair can go about 2 weeks, right, without shampooing their hair. But if you get a protective style, most professionals will tell you not to leave it in any longer than 4 to 6 weeks, right? So you have one group of women that is shampooing their hair a couple of times a week. And then most black women with the healthy hair growth cycle, you can get away with like once a week or once every 2 weeks. But then with protective styles, you can add an additional couple of weeks on top of those weeks and get 4 to 6 weeks of your hair protected, your hair being protected from you and your different forms of mechanical damage. For example, like on days like today, you see my hair, but when y'all see my other long wig, that is like my protective styling type of week. Even though that wig is not just on my head all day, it's only on when I'm recording, but throughout the day I have my hair like just out on my head. I'm brushing it twice a day, when I wake up in the morning and before I go to bed. Most of the time I'll have like 2 French braids, or I'll just have a blowout and then my hair will be like in a banana clip for like a week, and then I'll get back to how my hair is now. But to have your hair in braids 24/7 and then expect not only length but density and retention is crazy, because that is the main reason why. That is one of the main reasons why women who wear protective styles all the time, as soon as they let their hair out, they be like, oh, this product damaged my hair, or she made my hair fall out. But the real truth of the matter is your hair was too weak to deal with any type of friction, any type of pressure, anything, because it is always up, it is always braided, it is always protected, it is always covered. Just like one of the videos that I let you guys see before, I don't know if I put a clip here or not, but if I don't, it was a woman who's had really long hair, and all she did was shampoo her hair maybe once a month, and then she would blow dry. No, she wouldn't blow dry it. She would put her own concoction of whatever on her hair, and then put it in some flat twists, and then cover her hair, and that's how it would be until she shampooed it. She did not take the twist out and comb her hair, nothing. And she probably shampooed her hair maybe like once a month, right? So when she moved outside of that habit and outside of that routine, she said she lost 60% of her hair. That is not normal, right? When we are talking about like how we're supposed to wear our hair and styling our hair and things of that nature, you guys, because don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful thing. When we talk about the history of braiding and things of that nature, which we'll go to in a video coming really soon, yes, it's beautiful and it's a beautiful cultural practice, but is it something that you're supposed to do all the time? No, it's not, because the cons and pros are not equal. Yes, it is a way for you to put your hair up and leave it there for a minute, but it is not far-fetched or rude to point out that the one group of women who is always wearing braids, who won't stop with braids, are the same group of women who have receding hairlines. And one thing that I like, as I was doing my research, right, what first sent me over there, well, not sent me over there because I haven't been to Africa, but what first made that become one of my new fields of like study of like with Chad Africa, right? When you start looking at their cultural practices, they purposely put tight, small braids along the hairline. Why? Because they want their edges to thin out. Why? Because it is a sign of beauty and prominence to have a larger forehead. So they would purposely put really, really tight braids with a whole bunch of oils and butters on their edges, simply so their edges could get thinner and fall out, so that their hairline would recede back, giving the illusion of a bigger forehead. It's a cultural practice for the women of Chad Africa and a lot of other different tribes in Africa as well. So that's something that you really have to understand, because even when you go and look at different cultures in Africa, you'll notice different things along the hairline. Yeah, they'll all have braids and locks and things of that nature, but you notice different practices around the hairline. They're not always putting those extremely tight braids there. So when we're talking about protection, right, what are you actually protecting? When we say protective style, or what's a protective style, you have to really ask yourself, is this actually protecting my hair, or am I just calling it a protective style because culturally that's what we do, or on social media that's what we do? But what are you actually protecting on your hair? Because at the end of the day, God knew what he was doing putting your hair there. And at the end of the day, yes, okay, our hair is naturally curly, but black people are not the only people with curly hair, right? There are a lot of people who have curly hair, but most of you wouldn't know, because the majority of those people that have curly hair end up keeping their hair stretched. So you never end up seeing the curl pattern. And even once they wet their hair again, that curl pattern is still there, because they have a certain pattern and routine that works. So my question to you is, why does it make you so afraid to do something other than braids, right? Because braids are not protective styles. Braids actually cause the most products you put on your scalp as you're braiding your hair are blocking your hair follicle, and then the oil that you put on after the braids are in feeds the microflora that's on your scalp, causing inflammation. So what about your style is protective? This is not an argument. This is not me speaking down on anybody. We're having a conversation, and I feel like the place that we all have to be in is like, why is it that we can't have these conversations with each other and really ask each other these hard questions? Because if you can't answer any of these questions, you don't really have a reason to do what you do. Now let's be real, let's be realistic. Over the years, right, a lot of us have done so many protective styles that now that's your only option, right? Because your hair is it's so broken off and damaged right now that you don't even really know what to do with your hair, because you can't wear it out. You want to put it up because to have it out is embarrassing. Okay, well, first thing you need to figure out is, what is your daily schedule like? If you are a woman who doesn't go outside, if you are a person who never goes outside, if you work from home and nobody has to see you but one day a week, there's no reason why your hair should be in braids every single day. For what? Because you are a person that can shampoo your hair on a regular basis, blow dry your hair, or roller set your hair, and at least be able to comb it every single day, right? So if your scalp is damaged, if your scalp is broken or anything like that, is you covering spraying it and putting any type of protective style on it a good idea? No. And over time, the things that you are seeing displayed over the screen end up happening because your scalp can get stretch marks just like the rest of your body. And the more tension and the more pulling and tugging you do, the more you block the follicles. Imagine this, you're already putting extreme tension on the scalp, and then on top of that, you're clogging the pores and the follicles with oils and edge control and all of the things, and you cover it every night, and you spray braid jet, you spray what you call that stuff, braid spray on it every day, and you put oil on it every day. Like, your scalp is literally drowning. There is nothing protective about your protective styles. Actually, there's never a time when your scalp needs more help and more protection than when you have your protective styles. So I know it's really hard because most of the things that you should do to your hair, you've demonized. You think that you shouldn't do it because you're black, but the reality of it is the things that you do are the thing that separates you from the rest of the women on the planet that have healthy hair, because everything works until it doesn't. I've been saying the things that I've been saying for over a decade, patiently waiting for everything to reveal itself, because as a research scientist, I understand weathering and I understand time in a different way than you do. So you put it on your hair and you like, oh, this is silky, but what I see is the beginning stages of your follicle beginning to break down. That silky feeling that you feel is registered to me as a cuticle blockage that will then lead to a follicle blockage that will then lead to trigger inflammation that will then lead to seborrheic dermatitis, folliculitis, CCCA, alopecia areata, where your follicle that was once invisible to your body's immune system is now enemy number one to your body's immune system because you filled it with oil. It's a fact. Check the video linked in the description box below on alopecia areata to learn a little bit more about what you can put in the place of your protective styles and how the majority of your protective styles have led to alopecia areata. I love you, and until our next video, bye.
They call it protective, but girl, let's get real. Your edges screaming, your strands can't heal. You braid it tight, then leave it for a while. But that ain't care, that's a neglective style. They call it protective. Cornrows too tight, got your scalp on fire. You sacrifice health for a look you admire. But traction, alopecia, don't lie. It starts at the line where the follicles die. Hair follicles shrink under chronic stress. Inflammation builds when you never let it rest. That tension's trauma, it ain't just pain. It's micro tears that don't grow back again. She said it's tucked and it's safe, I'm retaining length. But the breakage at takedown be killing your strength. You ain't moisturized in 3-4 weeks. That style ain't saving, your hair's looking weak. They call it protective, but girl, let's get real. Your ends are dry, that growth won't seal. You think you low maintenance for a while, but that ain't love, that's a neglective style.
Let's talk hair cycle, anagen to shed, growth phase disrupted. If your scalp ain't fed, no blood flow, no cleanse, no oil to hydrate, then you crying at breakage, but it's too late. Wigs with no barrier, glue on the skin, follicles suffocate, can't even begin. Leave-ins ignored, deep conditioner skipped. The crown needs care, not a long guilt trip.
Protective don't mean forget, it don't mean set it and regret. It's slow manipulation with hydration and check-ins, not a tight grip with invisible dead ends.
So call it what it is, not divine, not a trial. That protective you rockin' is a neglective style. Treat your hair like a crown, not a castaway owl, and you'll see real growth, not just trends for a while.
call me what it is. You need silence, it needs science. Moisture, tension, balancing time. Neglect is not protection. Let's start treating our styles like care, not escape. All over doubt.